Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so we start right away. You can see the first question is August 2023, question number 1A. It's talking about requirement. In relation to the above statement, describe 5 functions of the World Bank. 5 functions of the World Bank. So they are saying here, over the years, the World Bank has evolved from a single institution to a group of 5 unique and collaborative institutions known collectively as the World Bank or the World Bank Group. So generally, these 5 institutions here, known as the World Bank Group, are the key functions of the World Bank Group. This is just a bank like any other. So of course, being a bank, they must be able to provide loans to member countries. All right? Provide loans to member countries. They must provide technical support. Whenever you hear of a World Bank doing feasibility studies, coming to see whether this SGR is feasible, is it going to generate profit in the long term? All right? Or will it be, in this case here, an elephant project, which will be just swallowing the taxpayers' monies? So when they're doing these technical feasibility studies, that is a big, big function. All right? Ladies and gentlemen, remember that also World Bank acts as a guarantor between member countries. If Uganda today wanted to borrow something from Kenya, then World Bank can come in between and say, hey, we are the guarantors. Should in this case here Museveni say no, then automatically we shall be able to come in and do what here and pay. Now I have solutions here for you. You can see poverty reduction helps poor countries fight poverty. Loans to improve, for example, healthcare in Africa, they are very, very big. Provides financial support. The loans gives loans, credits for development projects. Example, funding roads, schools, and the power plants. All right. Technical assistance and advice. Offers expert advice and training, helping countries manage budgets better. They really push us. All right. Promotes private sector. Yeah. World Bank will also be giving money to the private sector, companies, especially these companies are in energy projects, etc. Supports businesses in developing countries. Example, investing in small and medium enterprises. This is where we have World IMF, in this case, you're fighting with us in Kenya, for example, and these other poor countries, encouraging economic reforms. It helps countries improve economic policies, supporting tax system reforms, etc. Like right now, you can see they have pronounced themselves clearly that they would want our VAT to move from 16% to 18% for us to be able to raise enough money to repay their loans. And of course, if the Kenya government hears them, and they're able to increase this loan to 18% in this finance bill 2025, we expect some more again. All right. So they really encourage so many reforms, like you saw the other time during Kibaki's time, the economic stimulus programs from IMF, where in this case here, there were so many markets. Like right now, the markets you are seeing being opened by our great president, this is not Kenya's money. This is money coming from World Bank, because they would want to spur our economy. All right, great. So question number 2, ladies and gentlemen, with your permission. Globalization has resulted in several organizations engaging in corporate alliances and the establishment of trading blocs. The advent of e-commerce has enabled companies to greatly expand their markets. Yeah, e-commerce. Yeah, now we are able to do business electronically. For example, RCM, we have students like this gentleman, and I mean others from South Sudan, etc. So we are becoming a multinational organization. So elaborate on 4 factors that complicate financial management in multinational firms. I can see so many dangers. When you are a multinational, especially a physical multinational having branches in different countries, I mean, there are so many dangers. There are so many risks there. For example, I can see foreign exchange risk. Yeah, because now you have Southern Sudanese pounds, you have Rwandese francs, you have Uganda shillings, the Tanzania. I mean, when you are trying to exchange this money to your local currency, you may make losses. I can see political risks, ladies and gentlemen. I can see dividend repatriation risk. that you have gone, for example, like I remember one of these bigger schools that collapsed simply because they made a mistake of going to Malawi. So they went and invested a lot of money in a branch in Malawi. That was Pinnacle some time back. And they did big business over there. But now once they started getting profits, ladies and gentlemen, they could not repatriate that profit back home here. They were told, no, you continue investing this money in Malawi. At the end of the day, they incurred so many huge liabilities to the extent that they could not pay their loan back home here. They were basically, in this case here, they were bankrupted because of this multinationalism, all right? So elaborate 4 factors that complicate financial management in multinational firms, like exchange rate risk, different tax laws. Each country has its own tax rules. Example, a company pays higher taxes in one country, etc. Because of this difference in tax laws, you may require, in this case here, very, very serious tax accountants in various jurisdictions, meaning what here that your wage bill will be up there. Political risk. Instability in a country affects business. Because now, imagine what is happening in Congo. I mean, like KCB, like Equity Bank and some hotels that I know, in Congo, they are really affected because of what is this risk. So political risk, instability in a country affects businesses. Then we have accounting differences. We know that it is not all countries that have subscribed to IFRSs. There are countries which still today are using their local accounting standards. So for example, you're in Kenya, which of course are subscribed to IFRSs, and then you are in USA again. USA does not recognize IFRSs. They have their own generally accepted accounting principles. There are gaps. So then how do you, I mean, there will always be differences of how you do financial reporting. When it comes to you consolidating, then automatically not be able to get the same stuff. So we have here different countries use different accounting systems, accounting standards. So e.g. the GAAP, US GAAP, and IFRSs. And I'm so sure you guys, you have your own many points that I'm able to see you guys typing there. For me, I have an objective of going very fast across these 11 questions pretty fast. So question number 3, December 2022, which is now my question 3 there, but it's question number 5 of December 2022. The International Monetary Fund, IMF, has implemented many reforms in recent years designed to strengthen its cooperative nature and improve its ability to serve its membership. In the context of the above statement, propose 4 main reforms that have been designed by IMF in recent years. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, IMF initially, it was basically, this is a Bretton Woods. It was about the Wazungus, all right? So Wazungus, in this case here, were forming the bigger part of their board. But now they have realized, I mean, why should we have the whites only in those boards, and yet most of the loans that are being given are coming to these poorer countries? So then they have come up with several changes, and I'm happy to read them for you. They're easy to follow. The first one is what we call the quota reform. Increased voting power of developing countries. So now developing countries like Kenya, now we are able to sit at their boards, all right? Or even if it's not their boards, we are able to vote. Our president, in this case, will have some say there, not 100%, but at least. Lending reforms, they have created new programs. For example, you saw them giving us a support during COVID-19, all right? Like they issued a statement just the other day, given what Trump is doing with his tariffs. They knew the developing countries would go to them for some new facilities. So they are really proactive. Whenever we have emergencies, they are able to come up with new loans, new programs, new products, lending reforms. Improved surveillance. These guys are able, like currently they are telling us that our Kenya shilling is overvalued. What we did, and I should speak as a whisper, we know that the true value of Kenya shilling to the dollar, we should be at about 170. That is a true value, all right? But now you see the government had to interfere because you see a depreciating Kenya shilling when Kenya is a net importer really affects everybody. So the Kenya government had to intervene to see that they strengthen the Kenya shilling artificially. Is there somebody who knows what the government is able to do, what the Kenya government does to be able to strengthen the Kenya shilling artificially? Anybody who could be having an idea? What do you think in this case here does Dr. Ruto's government do to... It did not start with him. It started from Mwai Kibaki's time, that interference. All right? So basically, the government becomes a player in this forex business. That is how it's able to interfere. It becomes a player. So when they realize, for example, that the dollar is becoming very, very strong, that they've got a scarcity of dollars in the market, what do? They organize with the banks. They give banks dollars. They sell these dollars to banks at a very little price. They also come up with, for example, that day you saw them talk about what here? G to G, government to government. So they go to Saudi Arabia, tell Saudi Arabia that, you know what? Now, yes, thank you very much, Hillary. Now we have a problem with dollars in our country. Give us credit period for about 6 months. We organize ourselves. Can't hear you. Are you guys able to hear Mwalimu? Are you guys able to hear Mwalimu? Are you guys able to hear Mwalimu? Very clear. Okay, so it is that gentleman. Okay, great. So, ladies and gentlemen, IMF is able to do lots of surveillance. They are on the ground. When the Gen Zs were demonstrating heavily, against the government for the Finance Bill 2024, you saw IMF giving a very big write-up on the same. So they're quite aware of even what is happening in terms of our politics, even locally. They're doing lots of what here, surveillance regarding what here, risks. Like if you're keen, Kenya government itself has been able to lose like 2 products from IMF simply because of what here, our risks. They don't want us to reach that level where we shall, they don't want us to reach that level where we shall do what here, where we shall not be able to pay their loans. So governance reforms, they are big. With these governance reforms, they are giving more say to underrepresented countries. Basically at the board level, all right? Now, ladies and gentlemen, the other thing that I would also want you to be always quoting whenever they talk about reforms at IMF, reforms at World Bank, nowadays, they have gone big on e-commerce. They have generated very great websites where these people are able to interact a lot online, all right? Those things that we used to see so many people going to IMF to go, no. Nowadays, you'll be told, in this case, you just upload your proposal online. So things are going e-commerce. That never used to be there. Initially, of course, during those old days, everything was paper. They have reduced on their paperwork quite a lot. Question number 4, summarize 4 objectives of the IMF, and then discuss 4 advantages of FDI, foreign direct investment here. So IMF, just like World Bank, these guys will be there to give us technical assistance, technical advisories. They're very good at that. They're here always to train us. They do lots of training to the members of these developing countries. They give loans. IMF, ladies and gentlemen, they also have a key objective of currency stabilization. They would want their members to have stabilized or stable currencies. Now, the other thing, ladies and gentlemen, this IMF has a key objective of ensuring stable or positive balance of payments for their members. Can somebody tell me what is the formula of getting balance of payments? Anybody who could be knowing the formula of getting balance of payments? Anybody who could be knowing the formula of getting balance of payments? BOP equals who minus who? BOP equals who minus who? Exports minus imports. Thank you very much. So it is the objective of IMF for their member countries to export more than they import. Because they know that countries that export more than they import, those companies or other countries will be more stable. More stable. Ladies and gentlemen, there is every disadvantage with importation. Importation is a bad thing. It's a very, very bad thing. When you import, what does that mean? Let's look at it this way. When, for example, you're importing computers from America, basically, we are giving jobs to Americans to make those computers in America, and then they give us finished products. And we know right now what is really, really disturbing most of these countries is unemployment. So if there is anything that we should be doing as a country, I even wonder what kind of leadership we normally put on the table, ladies and gentlemen, for ourselves, because I've not seen anybody who is very, very seriously fighting importation. I mean, okay, you can import, but now things that you do not have totally. But why should a country like Kenya, for example, import toothpicks? What is so special in these toothpicks that are coming from China? Eggs. When you import eggs from Uganda here, you are basically employing Ugandans to work for you abroad. When you have so many of these young men wallowing in poverty here, right now, most of them are drinking busa. All right, let's give these people jobs here. All right. If you look at, for example, countries like Dubai, Dubai, okay, they import, but these guys made a resolution. Dubai used to be a desert sometimes back here. They made a resolution and said, hey, no, we must make this particular country, all right, a hub of production. Yeah, a hub of production. Yeah, a hub of production, yes. So then they went and worked on what we call a free port. So a free port in Dubai, like if you are very rich like Uhuru Kenyatta, you are given citizenship very easily. If you go there with just 10 million US dollars, of course, they also study and see whether you are doing money laundering. The moment they realize that you are wealthy, they give you, in this case here, their citizenship, even if it is the temporary one, 10 year. They give you the citizenship and ensure that you will be paying very little taxes. Some of the projects that they have there, if you get into those projects, you don't pay even tax at all. All right? And if you're that rich, whatever incomes you draw from there, even, for example, you are paying yourself, the pay is like 5%. So they simply want that money to circulate. So why would they want to put those kind of things there in Dubai? So that now these rich people will be able to set up water factories. When they set up factories, ladies and gentlemen, in Dubai, the locals over there are able to get jobs. When they get jobs, of course, they produce, the production increases. Now they start, in this case here, having surplus. They start exporting. Now, if you go to Dubai, it's a heaven, a little heaven on earth. But in Africa, our countries, ladies and gentlemen, even right now, if I do a small survey, if you're wearing like 3 or 4 clothes, one of those clothes has to be imported. We could be very few in this room who are wearing Kenya, like 100%. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. So then IMF has a very big objective of ensuring that they spur these little economies to export more than they import. Yeah, to export more than they import. So summarize 4 objectives of the International Monetary Fund, ladies and gentlemen. Here they are. Promote global monetary cooperation. They would want countries that are speaking to each other. They would want currencies that are speaking to each other. They don't want somebody who takes up a currency, a country picks up a currency that is not in agreement with others. Like now you can see they are really fighting countries like even Ethiopia here with their beer. Their beer is so restricted. All right. They would want, ladies and gentlemen, when, for example, you have Kenya shillings, you can work with Kenya shillings, go to Britain in some local bureau there. Local bureau there, you should be able to exchange, you should be able to get a bureau which accepts the Kenya shillings and then you exchange. So promote global monetary cooperation. Yeah, please share this handout with Ubi. Ensure financial stability. This concept of balance of payment being what here positive. All right. Facilitate international trade. They would want you to export and export and export and export. Reduce poverty and help in economic what here? Growth. Don't forget the concept of IMF. They also give loans for structural poverty alleviation, interventions, etc., etc. They do a lot of technical assistance, technical advisory, etc., etc. Then we have FDI. FDI, ladies and gentlemen, FDI, whenever we talk of FDI, these foreign direct investments, what comes to my mind? I've worked with international companies. I'm one of those lucky people who have been with these international companies for so long. Yeah, like the last one that I worked with is known as AARO, which is a global, it's in 140 countries. And basically there we were providing a financial reporting software. So like in Kenya here, we had clients like EABL, Equity Bank, KCB, etc. All right. So the owner, of course, is a Swedish. And this guy is able to go to countries like Tanzania and invest there directly. So he's able to do what we call a foreign direct investment. Yeah. So they come and invest here through either forming businesses and then they grow those businesses slowly, or they even come and buy shares. Like if they buy shares of Safaricom, that's a foreign direct investment. What will be the major advantages? You can see now, we shall be getting many types of currencies in our country. So this one automatically then will be able to do what here? Will be able to stabilize our currency. You know, the more the foreign currencies you have in your hometown, the more stable your local currency will be. Ladies and gentlemen, this guy, when he came and invested in Kenya here, I was able to get a job. So there is a concept of job creation in these host countries. Yeah, job creation in the host countries. All right. And then, of course, when they create jobs here, where will they be paying their taxes? They'll be paying their taxes here. All right. When we bring, sorry, Naftalo Joey, what are they saying? These ninjas here. Yeah. Yeah, so in this case here, we can see wealth creation because of what here the employees who are around here, they're able to get a source of livelihood. They're able to pay taxes, corporation tax, and even the employees, I mean, from whatever that they make, they have to share this with Dr. Ruto's government. So either way, we are having an economy being spurred. All right. Now, when we have these foreign direct investments, like myself, I would have not known anything to do with group consolidation. Right now, I pride myself to be among those great consultants that we have in this country in terms of group consolidation, courtesy of what here? That foreign direct investment that was done by this Swedish company. So they came here and they were able to train us. All right. So there is knowledge exchange. So in this case here, provides capital to host countries, yes. Creates jobs. They introduce new technology. They boost our exports, yes. Because once in this case here, they bring their technology here in Kenya, we are able to produce like what we have in EPZ. EPZs, most of them are owned by foreigners. So, but at the end of the day, from EPZ zones, we are able to export. And then, of course, we have the concept of what here foreign. When we export, we get foreign exchange as well. Great. And then, of course, I can see your great points there, like Keziah Mombi, improved infrastructure. Yeah. When these guys come and, for example, we have this Chinese company in Kajiado, this big Chinese company that makes tiles. It's called Twyford. So, and I mean, Twyford is changing the overall landscape of Kajiado. All right. So the infrastructure there will be improved, courtesy of that foreign direct water investment. Yeah. The Chinese over there own about 80%, and then we have our local politicians owning about 20% of 12. But the thing is, they've come and now they're able to give our people jobs. They're able to pay taxes in Kenya, and then these guys are able to also export those tiles outside. All right. And then because of that export, we are able to get what here? Foreign exchange. All right. We are able to get infrastructure development. Our people will be trained there. I see so many advantages of FDI. Yeah, somebody is asking about disadvantages associated with FDI. Of course, yes. Because these people at the end of the day, when they get their cake in form of earnings, where do you think will those earnings go? At the end of the year, those earnings will be repatriated to their home countries. Yeah. And that is why you realize at the end of the year, we normally get a deficit of dollars. Because now these guys are trying to exchange, they've gotten Kenya shillings all the way, and then end of the year, they want to take this money back home. So we have exchange, looking for these dollars now becomes very hard. They also, at the end of the day, they can destabilize your currency. They can destabilize your currencies. And then, of course, the other disadvantage, when you work with these multinationals, chances are there could be that brain drain, where in this case here, you will be going abroad. Like myself, were it not for RCM that really grew, I'm so sure by today I will not be in Kenya. Yeah, but RCM somehow, I don't know what happened, somehow we got abnormal numbers. Then I said, let me go and manage what here, RCM, as I also oversee the growth of my audit firm. I run an audit firm by the name of Aura and Co, based at Westlands, Havensco. So I said, but at the end of the day, this FDI can also lead to us losing our manpower. This FDI, like you can see what happened to Talo Oil. These guys will come and tell you if it's built a study that this thing has failed. And yet somebody the other day was telling me that these guys are importing or rather exporting our oil. They're seeing lorries moving from Turkana land every day. So again, you could end up losing resources. Yeah. And at times in this case here, these things, they could be like kind of a modern slavery. Why are these people coming to, for example, Kenya? It's because they know that we provide cheap labor. We provide cheap labor. You'll get somebody paying you like $1 million Kenya shillings or something like that. And then you are over there celebrating. But somebody who is at your equivalent position out there is earning like 4 or 5 million. All right. So I hope, Naftali, I've been able to answer your question. And of course, I know students over here have other answers there. Yeah, like now this loss of revenue due to tax holidays given to them, but not so many with Kasongo's government, not so many. Of course, they have something on the Finance Bill 2025 regarding this. Yeah, regarding this, they have something there. Question number 5. There are a number of different types of finance which can facilitate the trading of goods and services, both globally and domestically. The trade finance industry also supports and accommodates transactions that facilitate international payments, mitigate currency risks and exposure, and both debt and equity financing. Required in relation to the above statements, describe 5 types of trade finance. Ladies and gentlemen, I always like telling my students, whenever you get a chance, some of us understanding these things becomes quite difficult because of what I normally call you, local champions. You'll get this person was born in Nairobi. He has never gotten out of Nairobi. Or if he has ever gotten out of Nairobi, the farthest he has reached is Kajiado. He has never gone to Uganda. So he has never gotten, for example, to just Namanga here. And then they realize that they have got Kenya shillings and they can't now transact using Kenya shillings. They need to change this money. All right. Do we have anybody by any chance who is at this advanced level, who has never gotten out of Kenya by any chance, even just around here? But it can happen. It can happen. But do we have those kind of students here at the advanced level? Sound lost. Then I think as RCM, we should be able to organize something, even if it's It is just around here, Tanzania. Tanzania, we want something for our students here to get out there. It's good for exposure. It's good for exposure. We should be able to organize something. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. So, like, for example, if you have ever imported, something from abroad, then this topic becomes very easy for you. Trade finance, whenever you are importing goods. Trade finance to support. Great. Trade finance to support international trade. There are not very many. Like number one, we have a letter of what here? Credit. So you see, the person that I would want to buy my goods from in China does not know me, Aura. He will not trust my word and bring his goods here to Kenya without paying. I also don't trust him. I don't know him. I can easily wire the money and he delivers air. He delivers nothing. Then in that case here, what should I do? I should be able to go to my bank, and I've done this severally. I should be able to go to Stanbic and ask for what we call letters of credit to be given to my person in China. So the letters of credit, ladies and gentlemen, how they operate. Once in this case here, we have these goods have been delivered in Kenya, and I'm satisfied. Of course, they go through various areas. I'm satisfied these goods are here. Then the bank will be able to wire the money to the sale of these goods. So the bank is guaranteeing a payment. Letters of credit, the bank is guaranteeing a payment. But once we get used to each other, the seller and the buyer, like now these Chinese, most of them are very nice. At first, I will start doing business with them using letters of credit. But remember, these letters of credit are not cheap. They're expensive. So once I get a good company that I'm so now much used to, I can go with them now through what we call the trade credit. All right. So in this case here, trade credit, these guys will be able to send goods to me on credit. And then I pay them later. Because now we've gotten used to each other. We have struck some rapport. So the seller allows the buyer to pay later. And then we have export credit. You must have heard of Exim Bank, export imports. These are the guys who are known for export credit, where basically the government helps exporters with loans. So the government is guaranteeing. Like Exim Bank has done China lots of service, Exim Bank. I know you know the full meaning of Exim Bank, exports, imports. Exports, imports. So like for Exim Bank, when you are a local company, say in China, and then you get, in this case here, a job to do in Kenya here. I mean, as these other firms are being asked about to support their capacity of doing the job, China government itself will be able to guarantee. They'll be able to issue documents of guarantee, right? Which of course will give now these people a higher what here, will put them at a higher pedestal of getting the job. So under export credit, the government guarantees any loans or any kind of work that is to be done in these outside the markets there. And then now we are factoring. Factoring, you must have heard of factoring in your FM. Is there somebody who is able to tell me what factoring is? Anybody who is able to tell me what is factoring? A factor. Like for example, RCM, we could be having people who owe us, students who owe us like say 4 million Kenya shillings. So we have agreed with these students that, for example, they will pay us, say in August, the 4 million Kenya shillings. And then in between here, we find ourselves in a situation where we need cash. Then what do we do, ladies and gentlemen? We can easily go and get a debt factor. They are called the debt factors. Tell debt factors, you buy this debt from us. You buy this debt from us. Buy this debt from us. So of course, they don't give us 4 million. They can give us like 50%. Mostly give you 50%. So they give you 2 million. And then now, when these students will be paying fees, they'll be told, don't pay to RCM. That fees will be paid now to that debt factor. Remember, it is even the debt factor that will be calling the students, hey, do you owe RCM? Yes. Now you'll be able to pay to this account because you have an agreement with RCM. That's called factoring. However, there is factoring and there is forfeiture. Factoring is for short-term debts, very short-term. Actually, at the invoice level, So like now here, somebody has just issued an invoice. So you have an invoice, you go and factor it out there. You go and cash it. Yeah, and then of course, when that money will be paid, that guy will be able to get his money. So under factoring in this case, ladies and gentlemen, is the selling of short-term receivables. Selling of short-term receivables into bracket invoices. Forfeiture is when you sell now those long-term receivables to get cash. So both of them are the same. So under factoring, I want to import. And if I want to import, ladies and gentlemen, in this case here, I may be having some receivables here who can't give me my money today, and I need this money today. How do I raise this international trade finance? I can sell my debt. When I'm selling my debt, if this debt is short-term, very short-term, then that is factoring. If the debt, the receivables that I'm selling here are long-term in nature, then I'm forfeiting. Yeah, like Miriam is asking there, the people who build for others and later collect rent in a predetermined rate, can they be termed as forfeiture? So basically, when this guy is building for you, he's giving you a loan. The only thing that is happening there, Miriam, is that this loan is secured. Your house, of course, in this case, is a security. So that cannot be forfeiture, no. It can't be forfeiture. It can only be forfeiture if, for example, this person now that you owe, they have been able to build this house for you, they have advanced a loan to you, and then they feel like, hey, this money is mzuri sana, would want some money immediately. And then they approach, for example, housing finance. They tell housing finance, hey, you take this collateral, give me money immediately. Then that automatically means that the housing corporation will be the factor here, because these other companies forfeiting, is leaving its liability to them like that. All right, great. So we go to the next question, ladies and gentlemen, which is question number 6. In relation to international debt instruments, explain the meaning of the term Eurobond. Euro is outside, bond is a debt instrument. So whenever this is very, very common, like Kenya issued a Eurobond that is really, really disturbing us. If there is any worst mistakes that this government of Uhuru Kenyatta and Dr. William Ruto did in those old days, is to issue Eurobonds which were not used effectively inside the country here. If I were them, I mean, you don't issue this kind of Eurobonds without even having enough accountants. You can't just be given 200 billion and then you build just one small tarmac road here, and then, no, Eurobond 200 billion is a lot of money. Now they were able to push our loans to trillions. Now we are not able to pay. These Eurobonds, ladies and gentlemen, were issued in 3 countries, in Germany, Britain, and the US. So a Eurobond basically is a foreign bond. When you go to different markets, right? Different markets. For example, it's a Kenyan drone bond. And Kenya, we know we are supposed to be paid in Kenya shillings, but we draw this bond in dollars. We draw the bond in dollars, telling those people outside there, hey, you pay us in dollars. You are in Britain, but pay us in dollars. You're in the US, but pay us in dollars. So a Eurobond is an international bond, which is denominated in foreign currency, meaning that this native country, where it is originating from, this country, out of this particular bond, they'll be getting foreign currency loan. a foreign currency loan, and during repayment, euro bonds you pay back in that hard currency that you borrowed. Another problem. They never foresaw this. You can imagine it is the end of the month, end of the year, and you're required to pay back this euro bond in dollars. Then you start wiping every dollar that is in the market. So dollars become scarce. They become high in demand. So they rise in terms of what year? Value. Yeah. And then remember this euro bond that somebody is telling us there, Ubi, they are normally long-term because of the word bonded. Bonded. Euro bond is different from euro notes. Notes are what year? Foreign denominated loans, but short-term in nature. Euro bond are international or foreign currency denominated loans, which are long-term in nature. They are bonded. They are bonded. All right. And you have your answers there. And this Eurobond, ladies and gentlemen, has got so many advantages. There are advantages if they're used very, very well. There are advantages. All right. So advantages of these bonds, access to large global investors. Just like the other day. Just imagine with our disorganization. During these repayment of the Eurobond the other day, when we were really panicking that we may go the Ghana way, we just made a small documentation here. And we had so many people who were willing us to give us money to repay the initial bonds. So we were able to access, many investors outside there. We're diversifying our sources. Yeah, and of course, those things come at a very low interest rate. Yeah, flexibility in currency choice. Like we realize, hey, we need dollars. We tell now people to pay us, to give us that money in US dollars. There are no strict regulations in some countries. Because remember, those bonds, in most cases, they are not pegged on any security. They're not pegged on any security. If you go borrowing domestically here from a bank long-term, the bank would want security. They'll tell you, give us Kenya Airways planes as collateral. Eurobonds, in most cases, will not have any collateral. No collateral. The only thing that you need with Eurobonds is proper financing, proper financial reporting, and then ensure that we remove greediness from ourselves. Africans, we are so greedy, and that is what is spoiling us. So you get this money has come on the table, and there are so guys in this case here who have got bigger stomachs than the country. Ladies and gentlemen, even if you had a bigger house which has got 15 bedrooms, can you sleep in 2 bedrooms at the same time? You accountants, because most of you, after this, you'll be aiding people to steal out there. It's vanity. It's vanity. I'm not saying that we should not work hard, but trust you me, you should not be stealing other people's money for you to live big. No. Remember, as we are able-bodied, what of people who are disabled outside there? How do you want them to live? We must start exercising what we call minimalist. We must be minimalist. We must be able to live maximally with minimum resources and still enjoy. And still enjoy. And still enjoy. All right. All right. Great. And that is why, ladies and gentlemen, this semester, they should be able to ask you a question on sukuk bonds. We call them sukuk bonds. So sukuk bonds are Muslim-denominated bonds. Yeah, not a Muslim, but bonds, in this case, which are issued to Muslim countries. Yeah, if you want to borrow from now Islam, then issue what we call sukuk bonds, which are bonds that are Sharia compliant. And when they are Sharia compliant, it becomes easy for you to account for sukuk bonds. That is why there is no leader in Kenya who will be able to go for them. Because in your Muislamu akupatie pesa, they would want to know, where are you going to invest this money? They will not give you money when they invest for brothel. They will not give you money when they invest for club. All right. Money nguruwe zinafugwa. All right. Then they are very specific. They would want specific assets. Even when you tell them that, hey, I'm going to build this house, they'll want to know the exact floor where their money is going to build. Floor yangu itakuwa floor number hivi na hivi na hivi. So they are asset specific. They are asset backed. Asset backed. So bonds are Sharia compliant. Asset backed. They don't carry any interest. These guys would want you to share profits that you get with them. You share profits. We gave you this as a nation. You were able to build the superhighway. I mean, they are good in accountability. They are good in accountability. I happen to be to have worked with the members of Islam for so long. Personally, I'm a Christian. Yeah, but I travel quite a lot. Yeah. So if you go to, for example, Somaliland, I mean, these people will go to heaven. They will go to heaven. I'm not saying that Christians will not go to heaven, but most of the Islam will go to heaven because these guys know accounting. Give a member of Islam today $1 million, and then they tell you, we shall be returning this money by this date. Trust you me, they will return. Not all of them, of course, just like in any other society, there must be a few rotten ones. But at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, most of them, hata kwa shule, they are normally very, very funny people, and I love them. Atakuja kuambie, hii fees round sina. Na usinisumbue tunatoa kwa WhatsApp group. Hii fees yako nitamaliza mtihani na nitakupatia. Pesa yako nitakupatia yote. Nakwambia atakuja tunamleta mtoto wake tena pale kwa shule. Nakwambia nilikwambia pesa yako ndio hii, tuongee tena kuhusu next term. Of course, Christians we also do the same, but few of us. Let's be honest. Christians, it's few of us. It's few of us. It's few of us. True or false? One of this is controversial. There's a ninja who is inboxing me, one of that's very controversial. But it's the truth. That is why this Islam, they're able to pull capital between themselves quite fast. Yeah, you'll be able to get like a 17th-story building in town here being built by like 17 members of Muslim. And they don't even do contracts between themselves. There must be something. Of course, there are things that they can learn from us, but there must be something big thing for us to learn from these members of Islam, from these members. There is something. There is something. Yeah, they give facilities to Christians, yes. They give facilities to Christians, yes. Great, great. So in this era of globalization, the functions of finance executives of multinational corporations have become very complex. Propose 5 factors that CFOs of a multinational company should consider in making international financial management decisions. Ladies and gentlemen, there are so many things you have to think about before you start going global. There is the issue of exchange rates. They will really, these foreign currencies, they will really give you a headache. Political risks, we have already seen this. Tax laws in different countries, political and economic stability, interest rate differences, repatriation of profits, etc. Even the issue of labor. Like the other day, I was in Burundi. Yeah, Burundi. I'm sorry if you were here and you're coming from Burundi, but the truth is, you know, there are countries, I think this country that were colonized by France, those countries have issues, serious issues. Actually, they told me that day that any country that was colonized by France, the men over there, they were left with the 2 big presents: love for alcohol and love for women. Is there somebody who comes from those kind of countries who can be able to eat? Okay. It's good to love women, yeah. But I mean, excess is bad. Excess is bad. These guys are very fast in right? We shall overcome. Okay. So So now those ninjas, what happens when you have a farm there? You know, they would want to report at work at 9 a.m. and they have to, in this case here, stop for lunch at about 12. And then when they go for lunch, their lunch is a bit extended. They'll come back at 2. And then they believe over lunch hour, they have to drink a beer. Not one, not two. And those guys have got, I mean, they can drink, I can tell you. Those guys can drink, all right? And then like a day on Friday, for them, Friday is a half day. So as a multinational company CFO, you must be having some of those facts within your fingertips that you're going to get a problem with labor. And those guys over there, they have a problem when you bring people from outside. They really know how to protect their craft. All right? All right? They really know how to protect their craft. So we shall overcome. So those are things that I wanted you to know. We go to question number 8. Summarize 5 functions of the IMF. I'll just repeat them. Promote international monetary cooperation, provide short-term financial help, loans, monitor economies, train member countries, help in stabilizing exchange rates. You see, like Ubi is saying, like Sudanese, they hate foreigners, you see. They hate foreigners. And for whatever reason, of course, I am privy to the fact that here we have got many members who are coming from different countries, but Kenyans, for no reason, for no good reason, we are really hated outside there. Go, for example, to Tanzania. They will say that Kenyans, we are thieves. And trust you me, because I've traveled a lot and I've worked with these people outside there. Not that they are bad. Most of them, in this case, like in Tanzania, they are very honest. But they can't put energy that a Kenyan is able to put in our work. I could be wrong. There are so many things that they defeat us in. So many things. So many things. Like, for example, there are people over there, like there are girls over there, they are very submissive, very good. But trust me, in terms of putting energy into work, Kenya, we are miles ahead. That is why you will come to Nairobi here as early as 5 a.m. You'll be able to get some shoe to China, who is opening, or rather who has even opened and even has been able to work on like 2 or 3 people. All right. So we continue. We really work hard. Yeah, work with the 2 banks and consult how their model works. Yeah, they defeat us in bongo music. Yeah, there they are very good. Like the other day I was in Dar es Salaam. Dar es Salaam, they are very good restaurants. And when they go, like to enjoy themselves, wanasema kesho tunasalimia jua. Yani paka wana dance paka ifike saa 3 asubuhi. With very good music, very good food. The hospitality is at a different level. It's at a different level. Not like ourselves here. Unaenda ya ito namna gani ya Mugithi bure kabisa. Hakuna, hatujui. Mambo ya hospitality Kenya, useless, nothing. Question number 9. The issue of taxation relating to international trade has become important as business transactions become more complicated. Transfer pricing is one such area which has come under scrutiny by tax authorities all over the world. Transfer pricing has been of great concern to the government as it has made the government lose huge tax revenues. In relation to the above statement, summarize 3 objectives of transfer pricing other than reducing tax liabilities. And gentlemen, remember, if, for example, you happen to be having a company that has got 2 departments, we have the production department, and then we have marketing department. Production department and the marketing department. The production department, they produce chairs, and then they transfer all of them to the marketing department. Marketing department is the one that is selling them. How do we get profits? To get profit, normally take revenue minus cost. Marketing department will say, we sold this number of goods, we got this revenue, and this was our cost. But you see, the producer, the production department does not have a market out there. It does not have revenue. So production department becomes what we call a cost center. And this marketing department becomes a profit center because it has got profits. Now, people sat down and reasoned. When we go to the annual general meeting, People don't want to hear of how good you are in cost minimization. People are not interested in our cost centership. People are only interested in what we call profit centers. How much profit was generated? And out of this profit, how much are we getting as dividends? That is how transfer pricing was born. They said, let these departments that are landlocked, which do not have access to external customers, let them charge a fee. Let them charge a fee. Let them charge these other departments like marketing a fee. And the fee charged for the goods that are transferred between departments of the same organization is what we call transfer price. So why do we charge this transfer price and yet we know that we are not selling to any external party? Would want to charge this transfer price, number one, is to enable us evaluate performance of the departments based on profits, based on the bottom line. So the first objective is performance evaluation. Yeah, because when we charge a price, then this cost center is now able to get a revenue. Now they are able to calculate their own profits. So everybody is able to calculate their own profits in a way that now we happen to be having the same baseline. Ladies and gentlemen, why would we want to charge a transfer price? Like today, if you ask me, and this is a very, very honest thing, I mean, RCM by next year, we must be able to have a branch in one of these tax havens. Could be like Cayman Islands. Not that we have got anything to hide, all right? If you look at all these serious businesses, look at Absa Bank, look at all these serious businesses, they have their management companies being in tax havens. How is that important? If, for example, RCM today was to have a branch at Cayman Island, then this branch of Cayman Island will be the management company of RCM. So end of the year, they give us an invoice. So they give us an invoice of 30% of what we collect. Then we transfer, we shift. It's called profit-based erosion. We shift profits to Cayman Island, where in this case here, the tax will be 0 or 0 point something. So when we shift those revenues there, what does it mean in this case here in terms of Kenya here? Kenya is a high tax country, so we are reducing our profits. Yeah, so somebody is saying tax evasion. No. Isaac, you need to do some research there. You're an accountant. Yeah, it's tax avoidance actually. It's tax because there are agreements. We have double taxation treaties. We have so many agreements with those countries. All right. Of course, also the government is not sleeping. That is what the government would want through KRA. They would want you to go and deposit your transfer pricing policy with KRA. It's not something that you are doing under the bed, under the tables. No. Everybody will be able to see what you are doing. All right. All right. So anytime we talk about transfer pricing, ladies and gentlemen, although here they told you that they don't want you to talk about tax, but in the next exam, they would want you to explain this. Ladies and gentlemen, this transfer pricing as a finance manager, it will really, really become in handy to me because it shall be able to enable me, to reduce what we call global tax liability. To reduce global tax liability. All right. Then, ladies and gentlemen, number 3, we are looking at dividend repatriation from enemy countries. Assuming in this case here, you were to invest in Congo, and now given what Omonyoro said about our president with these countries, Sudan, etc., assuming those guys, of course, those guys outside there, they will take those things very, very seriously. Very soon, you will see our president. Very soon, you will see our ministers even giving a conference, giving a talk regarding Omonyoro's speech, especially as regards what year foreign policy. Because those guys outside there, they will take that thing I'm telling you like to be gospel truth. So assuming they took it to be gospel truth, and they say now Kenya is an enemy country. If they say Kenya is an enemy country and RCM has a branch there, what happens? So they will not allow us to bring profits back home. They will not allow us to bring profits back home directly through dividends now. But you see now what I will do? I will use transfer pricing and the invoice. I'll say this is an invoice. So I will invoice the I will invoice the Sudanese branch. So they pay me. So it's one way of moving money to where it is needed. To where it is needed. Okay. All right. So please don't forget about this. I mean, there are so many. Yeah, so many. Already you have that. Question number 10, I'm only left with 2. Explain 5 factors that multinational corporations should consider when making long-term decisions. Already we have said that. Political stability, market potential, yeah, exchange rate risk, task implications, availability of skilled labor. There are countries you can't get labor. There are countries you cannot get labor. There are countries ubi ananiambia mwalimu usijaribu. Already ubi amejua ni kubaya. Question number 11 is the last one, ladies and gentlemen. With reference to the financial management in the global context, distinguish between the following terms, a euro bond and a euro note. So both of them are loans which are denominated in foreign currencies. They are denominated in foreign currencies. However, bond is long-term and the note is short-term. Euro notes are for a loan less than a year. Yeah, one long-term, the other one short-term. Yeah, but both are denominated in the form of foreign currencies. Eurobond, you're bonded long-term. Euro note, in this case, it's short-term. You'll pay like in less than a year. And then we have an option being in the money and an option being out of the money. Remember, an option is in the money if it's profitable. When I exercise it, if it is profitable, then that option will be said to be in the money. And it is out of the money if in this case here it is loss-making. Loss-making. Remember, there are 3 types here of options regarding this. There are in the money options, out of money options, and at the money options. In the money are profitable, out of the money are loss-making, at the money are break-even. At the money are break-even. They're able to break even, profit is 0. I repeat, in the money, profitable. Out of money, in this case here, nothing there, loss. And then we have at the money. At the money, profit is normally 0. You are basically able to break even. You are basically able to break even. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is it. And of course, you're getting this great class from RCM. If you would want to join us, join RCM for BDA, because I'm so sure you'll be able to pass this AFM for BDA next semester or other papers next semester, don't hesitate to call us. Our number is 0719 525,000. All right. All right. Thank you so much for attending this session. It has been a pleasure. Those who will be watching this on YouTube, don't forget to hit subscription button. Don't forget in this case here to make a comment and share this link with your friends and as well as your enemies. It's important to promote everybody. Thank you so much. See you in the afternoon for AFR. I'm the one who is standing in for CPA Wabomba. Bye. Great. The handout, somebody should be able to share this handout directly. Yeah, great. Bye.